How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to New Mexico State Men's Basketball News. I'm Marshall, and in today's video, we're talking about two new Aggies that Coach Hooten added to the squad. One of them being from Clovis, New Mexico, and the other playing for New Mexico Junior College and the University of Texas at San Antonio. So pretty local players. One of them is from Las Vegas, one of them, like I said, from Clovis. We'll get right into that. I like making these weekly videos, as well as some of the highlight videos. The season is just under 2 months to go. I believe the first game should be November 4th. A lot of people have questions on when the schedule is going to be coming out for the men's basketball team because the women's schedule has already came out. They have about 31 or 32 games, I think. So I'm assuming our schedule will come out pretty soon. I believe last year came out at the end of September. But you guys got to remember, too, that was when we were still rebuilding the team. And Coach was still trying to get a lot of games set up because, you know, not a lot of people really knew what our team was going to look like. So it's kind of harder with the schedule. And I think everything was just harder in general, recruiting-wise and all that. So since we have our full team, 15 players now, it was 13, now 15 with the two new guys. You know, we might be able to get the schedule out pretty sooner. More teams and more coaches know about us. So we have 13 scholarship players. Not sure if these two new guys are on scholarship at all, but let's get straight into the video and talk about them. So the first player I'm going to talk about for today's video is Marvin Cox. Again, from Clovis, New Mexico, played at Clovis High School, and I believe I actually played against him in high school. He's 2 years younger than I am. He's an incoming freshman, so he's one of three freshmen to go along with Gabe Pickens and Jacoby Osborne Jr. Not three-star like those guys, but he's still a great player in the state of New Mexico. Is one of the top players last year. Averaged around 15 points and 11 rebounds a game. He's a 6'7" forward. Averaged double-double. Did a lot of great things for the state. And it's just great to have a guy from New Mexico on the team. Haven't had that since a couple years ago, I don't think. And I feel like a lot of teams that we've had, you know, players from New Mexico haven't always got a whole lot of minutes, but those teams are always successful. Not sure if Marvin will get a lot of minutes, especially with him possibly not being on scholarship. Again, he might be, don't quote me on that. I just not 100% sure because I think the rule is you can only have 13 scholarship players and then you can like sign other guys as like a preferred walk-on or whatever. I know he had offers from Northern New Mexico and I think some other schools in the state. But ultimately chose to come to New Mexico State. Again, not sure if it was a preferred walk-on or walk-on. For those that don't know what a preferred walk-on is, it's just like kind of where the coach sees your highlights, but they can't give you a scholarship because they're, you know, they're players that are on scholarship, but they'll still sign the team, but you still got to pay for your school and stuff. Walk-on is just when you like walk-on tryout for the team, and again, you know, you don't get your school paid for anything, so it's a little frustrating, I guess, for a walk-on. But at the end of the day, you're still playing Division I basketball, and I think I mentioned that a couple videos ago, how that's just a great opportunity for a lot of young guys. Watching some highlights, he seems like he can stretch the floor a bit, shoot the ball pretty well, again, rebound the ball. I've seen him on campus a couple times, I believe. He doesn't look like he's the biggest guy. Like I said, he's 6'7", but he looks like he's a little bit skinny, on the skinnier side, which isn't a bad thing, but if he can bulk up, be a little bit stronger, that'd be huge. It's actually funny, I have a little story time for you guys. So I was at Taos. I've been at Taos a couple times when I've seen him there. I've seen him on campus, and he always like this New Mexico State basketball shirt. He has all the New Mexico State gear, and so I was kind of confused because he didn't look familiar, and he was always hanging out with the basketball guys. So I assumed he was on the team or he just had connections, and I was just really confused as to who he was. And then it got announced that, you know, they signed him. I saw James Baca post on Twitter how, you know, Coach Hooten had these two guys, and he being one of them. So that made a lot more sense to me. It's kind of hard to say if he's going to play a lot, especially with him coming in late, you know, coming in, you know, September or August, I guess maybe he came in just a couple months before the season starts, whereas all the other 13 guys have been here a lot longer, for them being returned from last year's team, like I mentioned multiple times: Christian Cook, Jaden Harris, Robert Carpenter, and Chris, big guy Chris, can't pronounce his last name, so you're just gonna have to stick with me saying Chris because I don't know how to say his last name. Hopefully by the time the season starts, when they announce like the guys' names and all that, I can soon get it. I've been seeing those guys on campus a lot, actually. A lot of the new guys I've seen on campus too. I haven't talked to a whole bunch of them. Like I said, I talked to Shun McKinn, one of the assistant coaches, so they're all kind of recognizing me. Hopefully I can get a chance to get to know them as well. Regardless of the minutes he gets, if he just comes in and works his tail off every day at practice and in the games, I feel like Coach Hooten's a guy that will reward that and hopefully give him a chance to see the floor. We saw last year our freshmen didn't get a whole lot of minutes, like Keelan Dorsey, Yak. They got into the game here and there. They actually played some big minutes when they needed to, especially at the beginning of the season when we were still figuring out what our team was going to look like, what the rotation was going to look like. Had a lot of injuries. Our team wasn't fully healthy, so we kind of had to rely on those guys a little bit. Like I remember the Louisville game, we had to play 4 guys, and Keelan had to be one of them. And I think Yak was in it as well. And the very next game against the University of Southwest, which I've been posting a lot of highlights about recently, was a big blowout, or most dominant win of the season. Had those guys play a lot of minutes because why not? Give the other guys some rest, give those guys a chance to show themselves. We won 3 games by 35 points, all against, you know, non-Division I teams, lower level squads. But the reason I think that was the most dominant is because it's just, we started off hot. You know, the 2 previous games against non-D1 opponents, against D3 Sul Ross State University and D2 Western New Mexico University, kind of struggled at the beginning, but then found a groove later on and won. The Southwest game, we just dominated the whole game against them. And then the Northern New Mexico game, that was the game that we struggled with a lot, which again, Marvin, I believe, had an offer to play there, which I was looking at on Twitter. Followed him on Twitter, hopefully he follows me back. Wasn't able to find his Instagram. I was able to find the other guy's Instagram. Not going to mention him yet because I want to remain a surprise before we get into it. But yeah, just to conclude with Marvin before we move on to the next player, hopefully he's a guy that can just come in and work hard every day at practice and in the games, and hopefully he has a chance to see the floor. I'm not sure what the team's looking like. I'm not sure what the squad's looking like, what the stars are looking like. I've heard many great things from a lot of the great players. Like, I heard Carl's going to be really good for us. Azavier a really great transfer. I've been seeing things that he's one of the better transfers in the nation and one of the best transfer in the state. Obviously, only really competition when it comes to that is UNM, and he's one of the, you know, big time transfers coming from Division II to Division I that can make an impact right away. And again, the school he was at, West Georgia, was going to be making the leap to Division I anyway. So he's a Division I caliber player. You know, he's never played Division I basketball. I think he's going to have a great shot at having a great season. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts in some games, and who knows, maybe he'll even be a full-time starter. Really just depends, because we got a lot of great guys coming back, guys like Christian, Jaden, and Robert, who all started last year. But I believe Coach Hooten would say that, you know, those spots are, you know, can be taken. The next guy that the Aggies added that we're going to talk about is Azavier Johnson. He's actually got Division I basketball playing experience and junior college basketball playing experience. Like I said, he played at UTSA. His freshman year, he redshirted during the 2021-22 season, which was my senior year. And then the 2022-23 season, he played in 12 games for UTSA, only played about 3 minutes a game, so his stats weren't really too high. Averaged like a point, a little under assists and a rebound a game. Didn't really do too much there, so he transferred to New Mexico Junior College, where he had more of an opportunity to prove himself and, you know, show his worth at a college level. A little bit more of a chance to, you know, just prove himself at the, you know, literally at the college level. Just what I said, I just repeated myself pretty much. Averaged about 4.5 points a game, just under 3 rebounds a game. Didn't shoot the ball the greatest, but he did start in all 32 games, averaged about 13 minutes a game. So he was, you know, like I said, started clearly in the rotation. Was just pretty solid for them overall, and they were a really great team in general. They're 23-9, and, you know, New Mexico Junior College hasn't really always been known to be a great basketball team. They're in a really tough conference, playing against a lot of great teams like Midland College, even Nemi. And Nemi, I mean, they're sometimes good, sometimes bad. Odessa's in that there as well, I think so. Some solid squads. I think even South Plains. There's some solid teams in the conference that they're in. But this past year, they're really good. Maybe if he was on a team from a couple years ago where they weren't as good, maybe he'd have more of a chance to just dominate more and even be a double-digit point per game scorer. But hopefully he's a guy kind of like Marvin that can come in and just work his tail off. He's 6'5" guard. Hopefully he can come in and just work hard. He could be shooting a little bit. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of games there where we play against non-D1 opponents or teams that we just, you know, outscore them by a lot, or even the games against like the big boy schools like Texas, UNLV, or Dayton. Those are teams that hopefully we can match up well and do good against. But if it's a situation where we're getting blown out, kind of like the Kentucky game last year, hopefully Marvin and Johnson can both get in there and just, you know, get some good PT and build some confidence, so they deserve to play. Marvin's only a freshman, so he's got the 4 years of eligibility. And then Xavier's got 2 years of eligibility because he redshirted, and who knows, maybe Marvin will redshirt with it, you know, 7-15 guys and him being one of the new guys. Maybe he'll be a guy that redshirts. But I don't know. Nobody redshirted for the team last year. I could be wrong on this. Maybe there was some talk that Keelan was going to redshirt. But, you know, he played, and I'm kind of glad he didn't redshirt. Maybe if he did redshirt, he would come back. It's hard to say. I actually talked to him pretty recently because I was telling him about the videos I made on him. Seems like he's doing well. I believe he's at Kilgore College, or at least he was at one point. And then I looked at the roster again. He wasn't on there, so maybe he's on there again. I'm not too sure what's going on. And he doesn't have it on his Twitter or anything like that, because that's all the only social media I have him on right now. He doesn't have Instagram anymore. I believe he deactivated it. But, you know, it's funny. You know, I remember I made a video earlier on when we played against the University of Southwest. My old teammate Nick plays there, and he's at a new school, Temple Junior College, and they actually play against Kilgore early in the season. So it'd be kind of funny if Keelan's still there and they play against each other again. One being my former teammate, one of them being a good friend of mine that used to play for the Aggies. And it's kind of funny too how Marvin, how I played against him in high school. I just didn't even know it at the time because he was a sophomore back then. He was a 4-year varsity player there. Was really good all his 4 years there. I just don't remember it being him, but I can say that I played against a, you know, future Division I Aggie when I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was going to go to school. I'm sure he didn't know where he was going to end up. And in that game, we won. I think we won by like 5, and Clovis was, I was going to say undefeated. They were defeated at the time. They were like 0-5. But they were 5A, we were 4A. I believe at the time we were 3-2. I was coming off some good games. I didn't play too well in that game. I think if anything, maybe I got a bucket or two. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember on the top of my head. I just remember I wasn't getting the looks I wanted. I didn't really play the most minutes I wanted. Probably only played like 5 to 7 minutes that game, but they were pretty big minutes in the second quarter and third quarter. And I remember that game I actually had to play posts. So at the time I was 5'10". I'm about 5'11", 6 foot now, but back then I was 5'10". No. I'm tripping out. I think I was barely 5'11". I think I've grown about like a half inch or an inch since then. So I was 5'11", but I had to guard this one dude who was like 6'5". Big guy. He was huge. I actually didn't do too bad against him. I got a rebound over him. He obviously got a couple rebounds over me. You know, obviously being outsized and outmatched. I think he got one layup on me, but I played, you know, I did my best. We got to win that game. I think it was like I said, was it 52, 53 or 48? I could be way off on the score. I just remember we won in a close game. A game that we were up by a lot more, should have won by more, kind of blew it towards the end. That does remind me, I don't want to talk about this, but if you guys were at the football game this week, you guys know how that game with Liberty went. Liberty obviously being the best team in our conference. It was a tough game for us to lose. We were up the entire game. We were up literally 59 of the 60 minutes. Lost it right at the end. It's something about the 17-3 leads that we always blow. Last year we blew a 17-3 lead to Hawaii, ended up losing 17-20. Almost blew a 17-3 lead against Jacksonville State, but luckily Ethan Albertson had that game-winning kick on senior day. Diego Pavia was able to get us down the field. Wasn't really any of the players' best games in that second half, but still put off the win. But then blew a 17-3 lead here. My friend Nate's a big Cardinals fan. They blew a 17-3 lead. So it's something about those 17-3 leads and 10-0 leads. We were also up 10-0. I hate to mention it because you'll probably get mad at my roommate Jacob, who you guys have seen on the channel a while back. He's a big 49ers fan, along with a bunch of my friends like Diego and Azavier, a bunch of our Niners fans. Even one of my new friends, Isaac's a Niners fan because his dad is. They blew that 10-0 lead in the Super Bowl, and they're just blowing a lot of 10-point leads in general. So it's just with the Aggies too. It's something with all our teams. We all seem to blow those leads, and it's really frustrating. I wasn't expecting us to win that game. I was kind of expecting us to get blown out like everybody else was. I wanted us to do our greatest, but based off that first week, it didn't really look the greatest. But we came in, put up a fight, and I'm always big on just not blowing the leads, and they kind of did that. They're playing against Fresno State this week on the road, and apparently it's a really hostile environment over there, so hopefully they can play through that. We're 20-point underdogs, but we were just 23-point underdogs against Liberty. So hopefully we can just come in and prove people wrong, get a bounce-back win from last year's bowl game. It's kind of funny because I know Coach Sanchez and some of my friends have mentioned it, how, you know, last season we played against Liberty, then Fresno State in the last 2 games of the season, and then our first 2 games against FBS teams this year against Liberty, Fresno State. It'd be nice to get that win against Fresno State on the road to get our first FBS win, and then we play against San Francisco State after that, so hopefully we can get our first conference win. I'm expecting us to get like if I had to predict, I'd say we lose to Fresno State by about 14, and then we beat Sam Houston State by like 7 to 10, somewhere around the lines of that. I want us to be 2-2 by the time of the rival game against UNM. My hair is going all crazy. And I know, again, this video is about basketball, but I want to talk a little bit about the football as well. Since I've made football videos in the past, might as well mention it a little bit. With that being said, I think that's going to close it out for the video. I think I talked about what I wanted to talk about, the new 2 players for the team. Again, hopefully they can come in and just work hard and earn their stripes. And, you know, the guys seem to like them. I made some posts on them earlier today, so go check those out on my Instagram and Twitter accounts. Gabe Pickens was commenting on it, saying that they're dogs, they're be great players, got a lot of likes, so hopefully they can just come in and do their thing. And, you know, like I said, they've had good careers in basketball. Like Marvin was a great player in the state for New Mexico, and Azavier was a pretty, I'd say a pretty average, or no, I'd say solid. He was pretty solid, you know, JUCO player. You know, I didn't really watch a whole lot of tape on him. I didn't watch the whole season. So maybe he looked a lot better than his stats say. So hopefully he is. Hopefully he can come in and work hard. If I had to make the prediction again, I wouldn't assume that these guys would get a whole lot of minutes next year, but I hope that they prove me wrong, and I hope that they do get a lot of minutes. I can't really say much because I haven't really seen them play a whole lot. I've seen a couple highlights, haven't seen a whole bunch. I can't really find a whole lot of information on them. Obviously can't tell until the season starts, but hopefully I can make future videos on them, or highlight videos on them, shorts videos on them. That'd be great. So that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'm out.